Today is August 26, 2015. I bought this book for, 25 cents at the local bookstore or local library. The UFO Conspiracy from the Official Case Files of the World's Leading Nations. I know the cover is kind of, old school. The copyright date on this book, written by Jenny Randles, is 1987, so I was a 2-year-old. I was in my terrible twos. I'll go ahead and read this out to you. This is on page 30. A breach in our defenses, 1950. Quote, this matter is considered top secret by intelligence officers of both the Army and the Air Forces. In parentheses it says, secret brief on protection of vital installations. Subject, UFOs, 31st January 1949. I'll go ahead and read this whole thing out to you. The cold, frozen wastes of Alaska are an outpost of the Western military defenses. Only the narrow Bering Strait separates the desolate, glacier-locked landscape from the USSR, now currently Russia. An accident of geography has turned the otherwise depopulated zone into one where surveillance and security are at their highest levels. During the first 3 years of UFO reports, there had been many instances of a security breach, unknown to almost everyone, even those who had sufficient clearance to know something about official UFO study. One secret group, Project Twinkle, was endeavoring to find out what kept flying over atomic weapon research centers and rocketry development bases with terrifying ease. No suggestion that they ever did find out has been made public. UFOs had also buzz-sensitive airfields and power and communication systems, and nobody knew what to do about it. Top secret evaluations and discussions, such as the one quoted above, had struggled to find ways to cope with the problem. None had succeeded. At the same time as these things, the public had been informed of the closure of UFO interest, and that there was really nothing going on. Nothing to see here, people. Move on. On January 22nd, 1950, Lieutenant Smith, a U.S. Navy patrol plane pilot, was conducting a routine security flight over Alaska. It was 0240. He was from Kodiak, an island base to the south of the Bering Sea, well into American territory and presumed safe. Suddenly his radar detected an object 20 miles north. It vanished quickly without being seen by the pilot. Now on alert, Smith continued to monitor his scope. At 0248, either the same or a different object turned up south of Kodiak. If it had moved on a steady path since the last radar reading, its speed would be about 225 miles an hour, but no means reasonable for an aircraft. By no means unreasonable for an aircraft. Smith radioed Kodiak. It was advised that there was no known traffic where his blip was. As they debated this, the radar officer A.L.C. Gasky was reporting that his screen was being scrambled in a way he had never experienced before. It was as if some high-powered electronics were interfering with the radar beam, making it difficult to follow the course of the UFO. Meanwhile, moored south of Kodiak was the USS Tillamook. Quartermaster Morgan was standing guard on the deck as 03, which is 3 a.m., approached. Suddenly, quote, a very fast-moving red glow light, which appeared to be of exhaust nature, seemed to come from the southeast, moved clockwise in a large circle in the direction of and around Kodiak, and returned out in a generally southeast direction. Morgan called MMC Carver, the other watch officer. He also saw the object, which proved equally inexplicable to him. He described it like a large ball of orange fire. It was in view an estimated 30 seconds. Despite its change in direction, flying both into and with a fairly blustery wind, and the utter silence of the location, no sound whatsoever was heard from the object. Had it been a jet aircraft, it would have made a noise. For sure, it probably would have been loud as hell. Lieutenant Smith was continuing his airborne patrols with the radar interference now gone. Suddenly, the scope detected a new target 5 miles from him and moving exceptionally fast. The time was now 0440, almost 2 hours after the events described above. The blip was actually leaving a trail on the radar screen, so rapid was its motion. Immediately, the pilot called all his crew and told them to look out for the UFO. They saw it almost right away, closing the 5-mile gap in just 10 seconds, suggesting a then quite fantastic speed of 1,800 miles an hour. That's boogieing, people. Smith now turned to pursue the object which was ahead of him and shooting off. He did try to get closer, but the object was too maneuverable. Witness descriptions speak of 2 orange lights rotating about a common center like 2 jet aircraft making slow rolls in tight formation. Then suddenly, the thing made a sharp turn and was heading straight for Smith's aircraft. In his words, he, quote, considered this to be a highly threatening gesture and switched off all his lights to make the plane less of a target in the inky sky. The UFO flew by and moved off southeast, disappearing inside 4 minutes. Nobody at Kodiak had an answer for the case, which was one of the earliest types of a so-called radar visual. When a strange target is seen behaving unnaturally or unusually on a radar screen, then it is possible to opt for some sort of distortion of the system or weather-induced radar mirage. But if the object is also visually spotted by witnesses on the ground, in the air, or even both, then this interpretation becomes less credible. As in this example, it presents prime scientific evidence for a genuine unknown. Well, that's one story. If we can make objects travel like that inside of the US military, you can kiss F-22s and F-35s goodbye. But eventually we'll have that type of capability inside of our craft, and I do want to learn how to design something like that. That's why I'm going to be messing around with electronic equipment, plasma, and various MHD style propulsion systems. And eventually one day it's going to happen. Whether it's going to be in my lifetime, or if I can make some sort of experimental discovery with how that stuff works, or notice something that can be changed inside of many other people's experiments that I watch on YouTube, well then very well, we can make it happen, people. Just be safe when you do these experiments, and always, always, always take notes. Take clear, concise notes, write down all the dates, write down all the times, because if something's going to be made and you want to repeat it, it's going to be very difficult to remember what you did and exactly how you did it. Alright, oh yeah, today's August 26th, so I already said that. Everybody have a good day.